We are on a mission to prove that rosé is a misunderstood wine here on the Wine Pair podcast.
Ooh, I don't think that'll be any trouble at all.
It won't, but there may be some of our listeners who still feel that rosé is not a serious wine.
Why does it need to be serious anyway?
Well, I don't know, but we're here once again to make the case that not only can it be serious if you want it to be serious,
okay,
but it can also be a fantastic wine for special occasions like Thanksgiving.
Ooh, I like that.
Hello, and welcome to the Wine Pair Podcast. I'm Joe, your sommelier of reasonably priced wine, and this is my wife and my wine pairing partner in crime, Carmela.
Hi there.
And we are the Wine Pair.
Yay.
Okay, so if you're new to the podcast, here's a quick orientation. Each week, we explore a different wine varietal or blend or wine for a season or holiday, like Albarino or Nebbiolo or wines for Thanksgiving. And we dive into how to make great choices and what makes new wines worth learning about. And our goal is to help you expand your wine knowledge in a fun way that regular people can understand. And then we also taste and review 2 to 3 wines under $20 each, and we share our scores and recommendations to help you find great wines without breaking the bank. So thank you so much for joining us, and we're proud to say that Decanter Magazine calls us fun, irreverent,
chatty,
and entertaining. Okay, Carmela, here's the real deal, though. Can you believe that Thanksgiving is only a few weeks away?
I actually cannot. It's
I know.
Actually even closer than a few weeks.
I know, and it always seems to come so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we've discussed this before, but it is one of my favorite holidays.
It is? No.
Yeah.
I'm still learning every day about you.
Yeah. How do you feel about it?
I like Thanksgiving. It's a good one.
It's a good one.
I like this stretch here. I like the whole Halloween, Thanksgiving. It's the trifecta.
It is. And I think Thanksgiving, so for me, it's more or less it's kind of a simple holiday. Now, if you're making the dinner.
I was going to say, I beg to differ there.
It's not so simple or if you're having people over because you got to clean up, you got to get it's
anything but simple.
Okay, but for everybody else, it's pretty simple because it's like focused on a meal and there's no presents and you don't have to dress up. I mean, I guess you could dress up.
Absolutely could dress up.
Like a pilgrim or a turkey or something. But it's like, it's a little bit lower bar. Like, I think there's some pressure around Christmas and all that kind of stuff. And it kicks off, like you said, it really does kind of like, I guess it's in the middle of the holiday season technically, but it like really feels like it kicks off that last path towards Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate.
Right. I agree.
Now, I think one of the things I also like about Thanksgiving, and this is because I'm kind of weird, and this is the way I think, but I think that it's a fun meal to try and pair wine with.
I bet there are many people who feel the same way.
And ironically, as the Wine Pair podcast, this is an important subject for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a meal that you can and probably should consider having a couple of different kinds of wine with, not just one wine.
Never just one wine.
Right. Because that would be boring.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different people that have different tastes. Okay, and we've done. Carmela had nothing to say.
Was I supposed to say something?
I don't know. No, you.
Is it what's on the script?
No,
I don't have a script.
No, oh boy, this is bone of contention. Okay, now we have done 2 previous episodes on Thanksgiving wine choices that you can check them out if you go through. Go to our website or whatever podcast app you're looking at. You can find them. Last year we did one called Bonkers for Beaujolais, and Beaujolais or Gamay wine is a great Thanksgiving wine. It's very similar in many ways to Pinot Noir. It's a light red wine. You can serve it slightly chilled, and you can learn all about it and hear one of our highest rated wines ever. It's one of the few 10s we've ever given.
Wow.
In that Bonkers.
Did you give the 10?
I did. You gave a 9 though.
Okay.
You really liked it.
I guess so.
And we very rarely do that. I mean, it's super rare for us to even hit a 9.
No, true.
So a 10 out of this world. But look for that Bonkers for Beaujolais episode. And then before that, we did an episode on different festive wines you could serve. And in that one, we did a Gewürztraminer, a sparkling Syrah, which was a little weird, but actually I think we might do a whole episode on it because it's kind of fun. It's kind of different. It's a red sparkling wine. It's not
I remember.
Yeah, it's not pink. It is a red sparkling wine. And then in that one, we also did a rosé. So you can check out that episode if you want to know more about those.
What number is it?
Oh boy, I don't. Oof.
You don't know them all by heart?
I don't have it off the top of my head. It's I don't know.
That's fine.
I don't know.
I don't think you need
stump
to
me.
know.
It's not often that you stump me, but you stump me on that one.
Oh, I don't stump you often?
Not in the show.
Okay, true.
Okay. Actually, in real life, she stumps me all the time. Like, where are you going? And how much did you spend on that?
Wait, you don't know where you're going?
No, I just sometimes don't really want to tell you.
I don't know why.
It's a weird thing. It's not that I'm doing anything like untoward. That's weird. That's a weird word.
I mean, it's almost like I don't even care where you're going. It's just kind of like conversation.
Okay, I want to know, couples out there, if you're in a relationship, does one of the people in the relationship ask you questions that you think are too probing? Yeah. But they're actually totally innocent.
Yeah.
Like, where are you going?
So where are you going?
How long are you going to be gone?
Right. It's kind of just conversation. Do you know what? If you asked me like 5 minutes later, do you know where I went and how long I was going to be gone? I probably wouldn't remember.
You'd be fine.
I would have no idea. Anyway,
back to the episode. So we're going to dedicate this whole episode to rosé wines that you can serve for Thanksgiving. And as a special treat, we're going to do 3 different kinds of rosé wines so that you can have some choice. And maybe you'll even want to serve all 3 types because they're different from each other.
Wow.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But remember, rosé is a style of wine. It is not a particular varietal, right? It can be made from a lot of different grapes. And we are also combining this episode with a Getting Serious About Rosé episode. So it's Thanksgiving plus Getting Serious About Rosé. How fun is that?
Wow. I'm grateful for this episode.
Are you
That's what I'm going to say on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for this episode.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for thanking for it. What? Okay. Rosé wines, again, just as a little primer, it's primer, not primer, as a little primer. Rosé wines are wines made with red wine grapes that spend less than 24 hours on the skins of the grape, and that's where the pink or rose color comes from. If you didn't know, rosé means rose. Did you know that?
Wait.
I know, you knew
Amazing.
that. Now, remember, the juice for most wine grapes is clear. Not all wine grapes, but the vast majority of wine grapes, the juice is clear. And so it's the skin of the grape that gives almost all red and rosé wines their color. Now, white wines are not necessarily wines made with white grapes either, right? Sometimes they're made with red grapes, but they are wines where the juice spends no time on the skins. And if you're ever curious about what an orange wine is a wine made with white wine grapes or white grapes, and the juice spends a lot of time on the skin. So that's where the color comes from, and that's where some of that flavor and funkiness and stuff comes from. So while rosé wines, they spend less than 24 hours on the skins, orange wines can spend weeks, months on the skins.
Oh, wow.
So there you go. But that's a lot. And you can check out previous episodes and minisodes on rosé and Getting Serious About Rosé and orange wines. But today we're talking about rosé wines for Thanksgiving. And the most important thing, again, to remember is that rosé wine is going to vary a lot by what kind of grapes it's made from. And today we're going to taste and review a rosé made from Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, and a bit of Grenache. So that's a blend, an interesting blend. A sparkling rosé made from Pinot Noir.
Nice.
And Pinot Noir is a very common grape to be found in sparkling wines, clear or rosé or whatever. And then a Rosato. And a Rosato is an Italian term for rosé. And this one is made from a grape called Rondinella, which is a wine grape from Valpolicella in Italy. And you hardly ever see it made into a wine on its own, let alone a rosé. And so this will be really fun. We're going to taste them. We're going to see if we can recommend any of them to you. But first,
you got to do our shameless plug.
That's right. So thank you for listening to us and for supporting our show. And if you haven't had the chance to do so yet, now would be the perfect time to follow or subscribe to our podcast. And a huge thank you to all of you who have already done so. And if you haven't done so yet, you can also give us a nice rating and review. 5 stars. How about that? How about 5 stars? We would love that. Only 5 stars.
On.
No, if
we'd never ask for 3 or 4.
No, that would be dumb.
Yeah.
No, but we really do appreciate it. Leaving a rating and review. It's a great free way for us to get more listeners, and we appreciate that. And you can also follow us and see pictures of the wines we're tasting and trying today, and weird AI pictures I like to make on Instagram at The Wine Pair Podcast. You can contact us on our website, thewinepairpodcast.com, and you can sign up for our email newsletter there. And if you haven't gotten our last newsletter, because I send them out the first day of every month, you can email me at joe@thewinepairpodcast.com, and I will personally send it to you, bow tied and everything.
Wow, just in time for Christmas.
It's the perfect Christmas gift.
That's right.
And then we want to make content that you care about and you like. So send us a note and tell us what you like. Tell us things you want us to try, wines you want us to try. You just tell us and we will take care of it. We want to make, again, content that you care about.
That's right.
And as we do every week, we'll tell you someone we think you should recommend the Wine Pair podcast to, because that's the best way for us to grow listeners. When you tell people you know, like, and love about us.
And don't like, even if you don't like them, you can still tell them.
You can still tell them.
Right.
Maybe you tell them twice.
Like, dislike,
and
or love.
Maybe they'll start to like you.
Right.
Or you'll start to like them.
Maybe.
Okay. But this week, we want you to recommend us to anyone who's picking out wine for this Thanksgiving or doing a Thanksgiving dinner or whatever, and just refuses to believe that rosé is a wine that they like. Because maybe they just don't understand rosé.
Right. I mean, that's usually what it is.
And we're here to help.
Yeah.
That's what we want to do. So we're going to talk about why rosé is a great wine for Thanksgiving and what to look for in a rosé for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So I will say from the outset that some people find, and there has been some articles about this, that rosé can be a difficult wine to pair with food. And I think it has to do with the fact that a lot of people associate rosé mostly with one particular type of rosé. It's the one that you find most commonly. It is rosé from Provence. So if you look on a wine bottle and it says rosé from Provence, that's a very common type. They make a ton of rosé there. And it's a very specific type of rosé because of the grapes that they use. It's pretty light, pretty fragrant. It's kind of strawberry centric, and it can be hard to pair food with because it's very particular. But today, we're going to break you out of this rut that you may have where you think, hey, rosé, hard to pair with food, because we're going to blow your minds.
Wow. Okay, this is getting scary.
No, this is a good thing. Blow your mind.
Okay.
We'll tell you.
I'm glad you're in charge.
And we'll tell you why it's an awesome wine for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So first, when we look for a Thanksgiving wine, we want to look for wines that are versatile, that go with a lot of different types of food.
Because there's so much food at Thanksgiving.
And so many different kinds of
so
food.
many dishes.
Yeah, that are like, you have to find something that can go with a lot of things, which is again why I think you may want to think about having more than one type of wine at Thanksgiving dinner. You also want one that's a crowd pleaser, clearly, and you want one that won't overpower or clash with all of the foods. And so Thanksgiving's tricky, right? Because you have lighter white meat with the turkey. And then you have like buttery and salty and greasy and rich foods like stuffing and mashed potatoes and gravy. So you need something with some acidity and dryness that can cut through all that stuff. And so bad combo, Cabernet Sauvignon. Like Cabernet Sauvignon, I know you may love it, but it really does not fit on the Thanksgiving table.
Ooh.
It's got too much tannin. It's too big bodied. It's got too much alcohol. It will overpower the food. All you'll taste is Cabernet.
Ooh.
So one of the things that I would think about when you're looking for a Thanksgiving wine is you kind of want to avoid wines that are really high in alcohol. Like you probably want to cap them out at 13%.
Well, and it's a long day too, people.
That's true.
You've got to, pace yourself.
Pace yourself. You can't just watch football all day and drink wine.
I mean, you can.
Well, you can, but
Yeah.
14% alcohol.
You'll
that's
never
a lot.
get through all these bottles of wine that we're sharing with you today.
And you don't want to fall asleep before the dinner.
Oh, no.
That
It's
would
usually
be
the
rude.
dinner that's supposed to put you to sleep.
That's true. All the tryptophan and all that other stuff that comes from the Twikey.
Right.
Do you call it Twikey?
I don't.
Okay. Well, this is where a rosé comes in, Carmilla.
Okay.
A dry rosé, and I will emphasize dry, is an excellent choice for Thanksgiving dinner because it offers a pretty unique combination of what I would call refreshing quaffability. That means it's easy to drink.
Okay.
Food pairing versatility, and a taste profile that complements all of the diverse dishes that you're going to eat. And on another side note, again, if you don't know if a wine is dry or not, look at the alcohol content. Again, we're talking about alcohol content. It is actually a good marker. It is something you can use to kind of gauge some things. Dry wines have more alcohol in them than sweet wines. Sweet wines are going to usually be about 11% or lower. And so we're kind of giving you a narrow window of alcohol to look at for wines for Thanksgiving. Stay between 11.5% and 13%, and you're probably going to be in a pretty good range of the types of wines that will go okay with a Thanksgiving dinner. How's that for a little hint? A little tip.
That's great.
Okay, now dry rosé is awesome because it's crisp, it's acidic, it can be fresh tasting, it has a lighter body and not a lot of tannins. So these are all things that you want to look for. It's not going to clash with savory dishes, it won't overwhelm delicate foods, and in fact, the flavors in a good dry rosé will not only not mask the flavors of the food, they can enhance them. And then today, we're also going to be tasting a sparkling rosé.
Ooh.
And those are really good choices for a few reasons. I mean, what's one reason why sparkling wine is a good choice?
I mean, they just scream celebration, is what I think.
Totally. No, that's exactly.
Whenever there's something with bubbles, it's supposed to be kind of like a good time.
Yeah, and you pop that cork and people are happy. You make people happy.
Right.
They're excited. They think, hey, it's a celebration. Somebody brought out the sparkling wine. Right. So that is one reason for sure. It is festive. It looks beautiful on the table. But the other thing about it is if you get a good brut again means dry. Dry on a sparkling wine means sweet. Don't get me started. You want to look for a brut sparkling wine. But what's also nice about them is that the bubbles can enhance the food and they can cleanse the palate too.
Oh.
So you have a little bite of turkey, you get a little sip of rosé, sparkling rosé, and then you've cleaned out your palate a little bit. You'd pump in some mashed potatoes. I don't know. Never heard.
Pump it in. That is weird.
Pumping in food. You take a little
That's all
sip.
I'm going to think about now at Thanksgiving. Wow, you're like pumping in that mashed potato.
I don't know where that came from. And then you sip a little rosé and then you pump in some stuffing and green beans.
What? I do feel like the Thanksgiving dinner is sort of like you are pumping food into your body.
You know what? There is something to that where you're like, holy there is so much food, and I want a little bit of everything. It's almost like a
chore. It's kind of a chore. Like, pump it in.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't know about that image.
But again, you want a brut sparkling wine because you don't want to have a sweet wine with the meal. Wines that are too sweet. So again, that means like a low alcohol wine. It kind of overpowers the palate. You say this all the time. Sweet wines do what?
Well, you just can't get through it. At least for me, they're just too much.
Yeah,
so I guess they're a little exhausting.
They're kind of exhausting. They kind of they overpower your palate, and after a while, you're like, I think I've had enough of this sweet stuff.
And it's usually like 2 or 3 sips in, and you're like, the first sip is great, and then
delicious.
You're like, I don't know if I can have any more of this.
Especially with a meal, like a savory meal,
right?
And so we love sparkling wine. We do. We love it every day of the week. We think it goes great with everything. But a sparkling rosé that's made from Pinot Noir, which most of them are, is a really great choice because it's crisp and complex.
Nice.
And then the last one, again, that we have today is a Rosato. And again, that's the Italian name for rosé wines. They can be great choices. But like all rosé wines, the flavor is going to be changed a lot based on the specific grapes that are used. And the other thing that's kind of fun about Rosatos is they can be a little bit rustic sometimes. You know, they can be a little bit less refined, which sometimes can be really fun to drink, especially in a meal like that. Now, a lot of Rosato wines are made from Sangiovese, which is the grape in Chianti. They can also be made from Merlot. They grow a lot of Merlot in Italy, actually. Grenache, Pinot Noir, Syrah. And these Rosatos also tend to have a bit of body to them, but still have that crispness and acidity. And so they can pair really well with all the foods around Thanksgiving. And handle the food.
Wow.
So don't believe it when people say that rosé wines are too sweet, or that they're summer wines, or that they don't have enough body to them, or they're not interesting. We're here to tell you that if you choose the right rosé or Rosato, you can drink them all the way through the Thanksgiving meal. From football snacks to appetizers to whatever you serve for your first course. In Carmela's house, it's minestrone soup, to the main meal, and even to dessert if you get a sweet one, I suppose.
For sure.
So on that note, I think it's time to learn a little bit more about the specific wines we're drinking today.
All right.
You think it's a good idea?
I think it's about time.
Okay. So as usual, all the wines we have chosen for this episode are under $20, and at least 2 of them should be easy to find because I bought one on wine.com and one at QFC, which is a local Kroger store, and it's a really well-known own wine. And the third wine is not the most common, and I bought it on a website called Last Bubbles. And I love these kinds of websites. They have like one wine a day, and it's at a lower price, and sometimes they're highly rated, but a lot of times they're just wines that you would never have run into, and they're kind of fun. But finding a sparkling rosé in and of itself is not a difficult thing to do. Finding one that's brut is more challenging. So again, you want to look for brut because that's the dry sparkling wine.
Right.
Now, the first wine we're going to taste and review is a wine that should be pretty easy to find. It's the 2023 Chateau Saint-Michel Rosé from Columbia Valley.
Woo! Washington wine.
Washington wine. And we've generally had, we may be biased because it is a Washington wine, but we've generally had pretty good luck with Chateau Saint-Michel wines.
Yeah, we like them.
Yeah, they tend to be...
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out. They tend to be pretty reasonably priced. And I would say they are smooth, kind of mellow wines. You know, they're like nobody's going to get offended by the wine.
Right.
Usually.
They're good. They're kind of a crowd pleaser typically.
For sure, 100%. And I did find it hard to find much information about this wine, but I can tell you that it's made from 55% Syrah, 43% Cabernet Sauvignon, and 2% Grenache. 2%, right? They just threw a little bit in.
Okay.
And the label says that it's dry and crisp and elegant.
Oh, sounds
elegant.
lovely.
That sounds like a perfect for Thanksgiving.
Right.
Elegant.
If you want that to be your vibe.
What other vibe might you want for Thanksgiving?
I don't know, but it doesn't have to necessarily be elegant.
Well, what else would it be?
No. You can have a rustic Thanksgiving.
Okay. Like you eat on the ground or something?
No, I mean, nobody said you have to eat on the ground to be
what
rustic.
would a rustic Thanksgiving be?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Now you put me on the spot.
Well, you brought it up.
Well, I mean, elegant seems very like, you know.
Too fancy schmancy.
Yeah, like, right. And I feel like that dinner, I guess it's kind of, it could be perceived as fancy, but then again, it's kind of not fancy.
Okay.
Stuffing and mashed potatoes, and you're just pumping food in your mouth.
I guess it's the food pumping that
maybe
makes it less.
It's changed my whole image. No more elegance in that meal.
I guess if you're pumping food in your mouth, maybe
feels
you don't
a little more rustic.
You're right. Okay, this blend is really interesting because wines from the southern part of France, like Provence and the Rhone Valley, would be made with grapes like Syrah and Grenache. So that's not unusual in a rosé blend. But Cabernet Sauvignon among those wines is actually quite strange because we talked about this last week where the typical Bordeaux blend is like Cabernet and Merlot and a few others. And the GSM blend or the Rhone blend is Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre. But usually they're not combined together. So this one is Syrah and Grenache plus Cabernet Sauvignon. So that's a really interesting combo. So I'm very curious about this. The next wine is the 2023 Scaia Rosato from the Veneto region of Italy, which is Venice. Venice is in the Veneto region. I mentioned this before, but it's made from a grape called Rondinella, which most of you are probably not familiar with. I'm not super familiar with it. It's one of the grapes often found in Valpolicella and Amarone della Valpolicella, along with another grape called Corvina. But it is rarely made into a wine by itself. It's usually a blending grape. So this is interesting because this wine is 100% Rondinella.
Wow.
Now, some interesting things. It's a very dark grape. The skin is very dark.
This is a dark rosé.
It's not particularly, like when you look at it, we'll take a look at it. It's not particularly dark. So it's not going to take a lot of skin contact for that skin to impart some color. So my guess is it doesn't spend a lot of time on the skins.
Yeah.
It's considered like this grape also is considered like rustic and hardy. So this could be good for your rustic Thanksgiving where you're pumping that food in, but it's considered rustic and hardy and sugary. Now, sugary doesn't necessarily mean sweet. It means it's going to create a lot of alcohol as long as you let it go and do that. Now, I was able to find a tech sheet, so there are a few other interesting notes. It undergoes batonnage once a week after fermentation until it's bottled. Batonnage is a fancy way of saying they stir it. And what they're doing is they're stirring up kind of the gunk, the old yeast and other things that are in the mix of the wine that have usually settled to the bottom of the tank, whatever tank they're fermenting in. But the batonnage stirs it up again. So it adds more it can add body to it. It can add some mouthfeel to it, some creaminess, and also some kind of funky flavors. So I'm very curious about this. This is why sometimes I say a Rosato can be rustic. And this one may be a little rustic. We'll say that.
Okay.
It It ages for about 3 months. It's not vegan, in case you're curious, and it is low in residual sugar, so it would be considered dry. So I think because it's kind of an interesting grape and an interesting winemaking process, and like Rosato, I think it could be fun to bring to a Thanksgiving dinner because people will ask about it. Now, the last wine we're going to drink is the Hubert Meyer Crémant de Alsace Brut Rose. Now, Crémant, we love Crémant. Crémant is fun because it is a famous sparkling wine made in France, and it's not champagne. We did an episode on Crémant a while back, but I have to say, I think it's one of my favorite sparkling wines. I think it's underrated. It's often reasonably priced, especially in comparison to champagne, but it's made in exactly the same style as champagne. So you're getting a wine from France that's sparkling, made in the champagne style, but you're not paying champagne prices. And I'm not going to go into a ton of detail. We have a link in our show notes, more about it that you can click on. But there are 8 regions in France and 1 in Luxembourg that are allowed to make Crémant, which is different than Champagne because Champagne is only made in the Champagne region of France. But in Crémant, it can't be made anywhere, but there are certain regions where they are allowed to make Crémant. And this one happens to come from the Alsace region of France, as the name would imply. This wine is made from 100% Pinot Noir. And remember, that is one of the grapes in Champagne and most rosé sparkling wines. This wine is fermented for 2 months in stainless steel tanks for the first fermentation, and then it spends 18 months in the second fermentation. And and so a long time. Like, that's the other thing about these traditional sparkling wines. They spend a lot of time, like they're hard to make. They take a while to make. And it's a brut or low sugar sparkling wine. But Carmela, I think that's enough information. I think what we got to do now is we got to taste some wine.
Sounds good to me.
If you have any of these rosés, perfect. If you have any rosé, great. If you have any wine at all, drink along with us and get some participation points.
Nice.
We'll be right back.
All right.
Okay, we are back and we're ready to try our first rosé for Thanksgiving. This is the Chateau Saint Michel Columbia Valley Rosé. It's from Columbia Valley right here in the great state of Washington. It's a 2023. It was only $8.99 at QFC, which again is a Kroger.
Wow.
12.5% alcohol, 55% Syrah, 43% Cabernet Sauvignon, and 2% Grenache. And one thing we should say, it is a screw cap, and it's a very pretty bottle.
It is. It would be beautiful on a nice Thanksgiving table.
Yeah, elegant
or rustic.
Or elegant and rustic. And then let's talk about the color.
Oh, it's very pretty. It's light. It's definitely like a natural light pink.
It's pink, though. I mean, like, it's corally kind of pink.
Kind of coral, yeah. It's or salmon. Almost
I don't think it's salmon. To me, it's super corally
wow.
pink.
Talk about contrary.
Well, okay. No. But I think it is very pretty.
It's a little salmony.
Okay, fine.
I guess it's not as dark. If it was darker, it would be more salmony.
You know what? It looks like a jewel to me. Like, it's so pretty. I think it's a
very
really
pretty wine.
Okay, well, what do you smell? What do you smell?
Well, I was getting kind of raspberry. Raspberry, pomegranate. What else?
I'm getting a little citrus. It's very pleasant
smelling.
citrus,
yeah. What kind of citrus?
Well, it's not super strong, so it's like a little bit of lime or maybe even a grapefruity kind of citrusy smell. And I'm getting the same smells as you, but I'm also getting maybe a little apple on it.
Yeah, it does. Or pear even.
Yeah.
A little bit of that. It's a little bit of like maybe like an Asian pear, like kind of a crunchy pear. Yeah. Not one like an Anjou. Is that how you say that?
I think so.
I don't know. A-N-J-O-U. It's not like a creamy pear.
Okay.
More of a crunchy, maybe an Asian pear.
Okay.
What else?
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot going on in this wine.
It's a really nice smelling wine.
I almost smell a little bit of peach, and I actually do smell a little creaminess in it.
When you said pea, you kind of held that P.
Not pea. Peach.
I was like, wait, what else did you say? Watermelon?
I didn't say watermelon, but I could say that.
Yeah, I feel like there's maybe a little watermelon on it. But what did you say
after
peach?
I completely forgot. You made me think of pea, and
well, when you edit it, then
I'll remember.
You'll see.
Okay, let's try it.
Ooh,
it's super easy drinking.
It's really nice.
I think it's
This could be dangerous.
It's dangerous. It's got a little kick of sweet at the beginning, but it ends pretty dry.
Yeah. And I actually, in the taste, I'm getting the watermelon. A little bit.
I agree.
A little bit of that. Something about watermelon does have that sweetness, right? Like there's not really like a tang or sour inside watermelon.
This one has tang,
But I was going to say, but this kind of like it's like the best of both. It's kind of like a watermelon gummy.
Yeah, it is. But I'm also tasting some of those like raspberry kind of flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like zippy. It's zippy. It's got a lot of lemony acidity. I think this would be awesome with like mashed potatoes and gravy or like dinner, something pumping. Okay, I said it. I'm going to never live this one down. We're going to Thanksgiving dinner and you and I are going to start laughing as we watch people pump food into their mouth.
Okay, that's enough of that.
But it's crisp. And sometimes you'll pull white wines out of the fridge a little bit early, like white wines. This is rosé wine. This is really cold. It's nice cold.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
How do you think this would go with Thanksgiving, and what Thanksgiving foods do you think it would go with, Carmela?
Oh, I just think it would be really nice with just about any of the dishes. I mean, like when you're talking about mashed potatoes, I think it would really do nicely with like the whole mashed potatoes with a pat of butter on it, sour cream. Like for some reason.
Sour cream.
Do you put sour cream on it?
I don't think so.
Oh,
you could.
I don't know.
You like baked potatoes, but
maybe.
But I think it would go with turkey. I think it would go with stuffing. I think it would go with mashed potatoes.
I think this would be a great Thanksgiving wine.
And I think it's pretty. It's
very pretty.
It would be nice on the table. I think people would be surprised and enjoy it, and it's not going to break the bank at $8.99.
I can't even get over that price. That's a great price.
I agree. So we're gonna rate this wine. As a reminder, on our rating scale, we rate on a scale of 1 to 10. We don't do half points. We only do whole points. 7 and above means we're gonna buy it. 4 below means we're gonna pour it down the sink. 5 or 6 means we're gonna drink it and we'll finish it, but we're probably not gonna buy it. So what rating would you give this wine?
I also want to say really quickly though, there's a little bit like a really fresh perfumey, like
but nice, not like grandma's old perfume.
No. Oh, what? Hey, okay. I liked my grandma's perfume, but no, it's kind of fresh, almost like maybe it's even floral, just like a fresh bouquet of wildflowers or something.
It's very nice.
Okay. Anyway, so gosh, this is hard because I like this wine.
Well, what would you give it?
I'm tempted to give it a 9.
Do it.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 9.
Now that's a very we were saying
high.
this earlier.
Yeah.
That's actually a very high score. I'm giving it a 7. I like it a lot. I would buy it. I would serve it. I think it's a very good wine. I don't think it's not
knocking your socks off.
No, I mean, not really, but I really like it. And again, Chateau Saint Michel's, they have reasonably priced wines, and I think they're always pretty darn good.
Well, I just think this is just like the full meal deal. Like it's like a beautiful bottle.
Yeah.
The color's so pretty.
Yeah. It
can be elegant or rustic. And it just tastes delicious. So I just feel like the overall score for this wine, for me, is a 9.
And crowd pleasing. I think if you bring this, it's going to be hard to find people that are going to go, oh, this wine's terrible.
Oh, there will be, because they'll
be snobs.
Before they drink it, though. Like they may not attempt to drink it.
Rosé.
Right. But I think people would be pleasantly surprised.
And if they know anything about food and wine pairing, they would be willing to try it.
I think so.
Okay, we're going to take a break and we're going to try our next wine. Okay, we are back and I'm exhausted because this wine bottle was hard to open. This has one of those I thought it had a cork. I took the foil off and it had a glass stopper, which are pretty.
So
those are always fun. Mm-hmm. But we couldn't figure out how to we actually had to turn on a YouTube video.
But we didn't, by the time we figured it out, the video hadn't even started yet.
You figured it out.
Yeah.
Because I was ready to get a screwdriver and.
Well, okay, I'm glad you didn't. So the deal is that with these glass corks, you have to have it on a table and then you just hold it by the neck and you use your 2 thumbs to just push it
one side.
Yeah, I'm doing it again right now. So yeah, it's actually quite simple, but if you try and pull it straight out.
Oh my God, I was like, I feel so weak.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway,
Here we go. This is the Scaia Rosato. It's from Veneto, Italy, 2023, $14.99 at wine.com. Again, 12.5% alcohol, 100% rondinella, and Vinius actually gave this a 90 rating. But first of all, let's talk about the color.
It's darker.
It's darker.
Pretty. It's still
to
pretty.
Me, this is like rose colored.
Rose? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like a pink rose. That's what it looks like to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's almost even a bit darker than that, though.
Yeah.
It's almost a little orange to me.
It does have a little orangey in it, but I think of it as a pink rose. That's what I would say.
Okay.
And what are you smelling?
My first smell was not nearly as pleasant. It's a little bit harsher. I mean, it's
Rustic.
Yeah, it's a little more rustic. I'm getting, I think, a little grapefruit on this one, like a little bit more acid. That's just a little almost bitter.
Mm-hmm. Well, this one again was the like batonnage. So I think you're smelling too some of the yeast, a little bit of that like funkiness in it.
Right.
But I'm getting, grapefruit. It's a little lemony. It's a little bit, I was getting like maybe a little whiff of peach or watermelon there.
Okay. I think now, even with it in the glass, swirling a little bit, it's kind of opening up a little bit.
I'm almost maybe getting a little bit of orange too.
Okay.
Like maybe you put that thought in my head, but like a little bit of an orange.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of pith too. A little bit of orange or
pith.
zest.
Yeah.
Like maybe not the pith necessarily, but like if you're zesting an orange, it kind of has a little hint of that.
I agree. Okay, well, let's taste it and see what we think.
Okay.
This is good. It's interesting. It's
Wow.
super dry. It's a little tart, but it's really dry.
And
it's very acidic.
Flavor, a lot of mouthfeel.
It does. I'm trying to put my finger on the flavor. Is it like nectarine? Is it like, what is the flavor?
Apricot even?
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's a really interesting like fruity, it's got a nice fruity flavor, but it's not overpowering.
It definitely tastes different than it smells to me.
Yeah, and that it's got some body too.
Right.
There's body on this wine. Like this is a good rosé for somebody who's very skeptical about rosé because it's got body on it. Not a lot, but enough where you're like, there's some girth in this wine. It feels like a little bit more substantial than sometimes a rosé will.
For sure. But it's definitely, and it's a unique flavor. Like it doesn't really fit. It doesn't fit the formula, I guess, of what these wines or what wines. I mean, it doesn't really lend itself really to a white or a red wine. It's very unique.
It kind of actually is reminding me a little bit of an orange wine because it's got some of that funky flavor in it. I think it's really good.
I think it is too.
I was like, I'm not so sure about this wine. I'm taking a chance here. I think it's very good. What do you think this go well with Thanksgiving? What food might you pair with it?
Oh, I think so. I think I'm thinking of the bird now with this. I think this would be really nice with the turkey.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Really, with a little gravy on it because it's got enough acidity and dryness to kind of really stand up to that. So I think it would do really well with that.
Yeah.
What else?
Oh, I think that, I mean, this could be good even just as like I think it'd be really nice at the beginning of the evening too, with appetizers and it's kind of a fun wine too.
Mac and cheese. Would it go with mac and cheese?
Yeah.
Would it go with your cousin's broccoli salad with all the fun stuff in it?
I think so. I keep thinking like green beans with breadcrumbs on them too.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a very versatile wine.
I do too.
I think it's got good dryness. It's got like a little bit of red wine feel to it.
Right.
It's not totally this like, it's not a sweet rosé. It's got some good depth to it.
And it definitely has, I was going to say like a nice flavor. It's not just a citrus.
No.
Definitely has some body to it. I like it.
I really like it too. What rating would you give this wine?
Oh man, this is tough because they're pretty different, the first two. Gosh, I mean, I think I'm going to definitely give it an 8.
I'm giving it a strong 8, and I'm tempted to give it a 9. It's a very good wine, and you know what I love about it? Again, like I know you were joking about this, but it's kind of a pretty wine, but even more so, it's a conversation piece. It's a cool wine. Like I think if you bring it and you pour it for people, they're going to be like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's fun. And I think it's fun to bring something to Thanksgiving that, it's different. It's enjoyable. I think people will really like it.
I think so too.
Yeah. I'm super
It's a great gift wine.
Yeah. I'm super tempted.
Like hostess gift. Sorry.
No. I'm totally with you. And if you can figure out how to get the glass top open, it's fun, but I'm super tempted to give it a 9. I'm going to think about it. Okay. We're going to take a break and we're going to try our last wine.
Okay.
Okay, and we are ready to try our last wine. This is the Hubert Meyer Crémant d'Alsace Brut Rose. It's from, she always coughs when she smells it. You cheated.
Sorry.
This is from Alsace, France. It's non-vintage, as most sparkling wines are. $18 at Last Bubbles, 12.5% alcohol. They've all been 12.5%. This is 100% Pinot Noir, and Wine Enthusiast gave this an 89. And Carmela, what about the color?
Oh, I think I want to say...
Super pink.
Yeah, is it the darkest of the three?
It might be. It is really pink. And actually, it's
pink.
The cage. I said, Carmela, take a look at the cage. You know, the cage is what holds the...
Very pretty.
And it's almost the same color. It's very pink. It's like pink. When you think about pink, this is pink.
Right. Did it have, what was the foil on it? Pink?
No, it was kind of silvery, gold.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
But it's pretty, very pretty.
It's simple. And the Saint Michel had the best bottle.
Yeah.
But this is pretty.
It's sparkling. It's always festive and fun.
Right.
Nice small bubbles, too, I'll say.
Yeah, very pretty.
What are you smelling? Appley, but also like peach.
But I'm getting a little bit of that, of like, I guess, sweet bread on it, like a brioche a little bit too.
Ooh, I like that.
A little bit,
what? Like a turnover? No, like a Danish.
Yeah.
It's like a fruit Danish.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what it smells. You know what? Apple Danish.
It smells like you walked into a bakery.
It does. It really does.
For a
pretty smell.
Sparkling too. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like a little bit of a warm smell. If that makes any sense. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it does.
Yeah, a little bit of that baking, some sort of bread, sweet bread.
I'm getting like a little bit of maybe sweet cherry or strawberry on it.
Oh.
And also some acidity, like I'm getting a little bit of lemon.
Okay.
But it's really nice smelling. It's pretty smelling.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay, I'm going to try it because I can't wait. I love it.
Sweet. A little bit sweeter than the other ones.
It is. And it's super bitter on the end too. Like really bitter.
Yeah. Oh, it's nice.
It's nice. It's interesting. It's almost like the middle of the wine, it doesn't exist. So it's like sweet on the front, and then you kind of wait, pause, and then it's got this bitter dryness on the back. You know, like there's almost no mid palate on it.
Right. It's maybe not as complex. What is the word?
It has a complex.
It has a complex.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's a ton going on. It's like fun, fizzy, pink drink.
It kind of reminds me of a soda pop.
It does. It has a little bit of a taste like a soda pop.
Probably because, the carbonation for sure. And it's a little bit sweeter than the other two. It's nice. It's nice. And it is festive. I would definitely say it would be fun for Thanksgiving. Funny enough about Thanksgiving, sometimes Thanksgiving can be a little bit serious because you're like, you get a little emotional. You're talking about what you're thankful for. But this is definitely like, you could have it any time during the night, but you definitely I feel like after dinner, you pop this, cheersing, saluting, whatever.
But do this for me. Take the wine.
Okay.
Take a sip, but in your mouth, let it warm up. Kind of let it sit and kind of warm up in your mouth before you drink it down. And now swallow it. I kind of feel like creamy strawberry on it, like a strawberry cream.
Strawberry, that's a good one. Yeah.
And creamy. My first sip, I was kind of like downing it. This one, letting it kind of warm up almost in the mouth, you get this creamy mouthfeel. Like a strawberry
shake.
Yes.
A little bit.
Strawberry.
But like strawberry with little pieces of strawberry in your vanilla ice cream. But yeah, I could see the cream, strawberries and cream. It's a thing.
Yeah, I think you need to let it kind of warm up in your mouth. It totally changes.
So you're going to give people instructions on how to drink it?
I do. I think that's something you should try. How do you think this would pair with Thanksgiving dinner?
I think it would be great. I feel like this would lend itself well to all like stuffing, mashed potatoes, the turkey. I think rosé is a really good pick.
Sparkling rosé too is just so fun and festive.
Yeah. And like you said with the bubbles, it's a good thing with all of those sides. Right. It kind of will help you, get your bearings on each dish.
Yeah, I think this would go great with basically anything on the table. And the other thing too is I think sparkling wine is sometimes not seen as a dinner wine. It's sometimes seen as only as an appetizer wine. It's like, this is a wine you can drink all through dinner. And that's another thing that I think would be fun, to do with your guests or when you bring something over. It's like, hey, we're just going to have this sparkling wine all the way through dinner. And I think people will be really happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is a tough one. What rating are you going to give this one?
Well, it's funny. I think that I'm going to give it a 7.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice. I would buy it. I'm enjoying it. It's a great wine.
You know what? On first taste, I was like 7. It's a 7. I'm giving it an 8. I think it's the more that I drink it and kind of let it play with it in my mouth and absorb it, I'm really thinking it's a pretty darn good wine.
You're digging
it. It's super cold, and I think the super cold, a lot of times you put these sparkling wines on ice. I don't think you need to do that. I actually think you want to give it a little bit of room. And I'm really kind of... You know what? I'm going to go back and give the Scaia a 9. I just think it was just such a cool and different...
You really enjoyed that
I really liked it, and
we have so many winners here. We are 3 for 3.
3 for 3, reasonably priced. You could have all 3 of these, and they're different enough experiences that people wouldn't go, I feel like I'm having the same wine. Like, they're different.
They are very different. That's what is actually kind of surprising. And I feel like that's what goes on with rosé.
I agree.
Right? I
mean, because it is, again, this is a perfect example.
All different grapes.
All different grapes. And so the wines are different.
Right.
It's not the same experience just because
like
you call it a rosé.
It's not a grape. It's a style of wine. So that's why you get these vast differences in the taste.
Totally. Okay, of these, which one are you finishing tonight?
Gosh, well, it's funny because I am, as I say, I could, and I actually, like, between the first 2 now, I mean, I almost should give the second one a 9 because I really like that one. So I think if I had to choose, I would probably go with the first one, the Saint Michel.
Saint Michel, okay.
But it is tough.
I could have all of them. I'm going to go with Scaia, but it is a super tight race between that and the sparkling. So good. Okay, well, let's do the taste profiles expected from these wines. For the Chateau Saint Michel Columbia Valley Rosé, all I could get was from the winery. Dry and elegant with a beautiful pale pink color hues, agree. Fresh and lively, offering bright aromas of watermelon and raspberry with flavors of wild strawberry, citrus zest, and hints of melon. So I think we got some of that.
Yeah, for sure.
The Scaia, the winery says this rosé is very fresh and floral. Vinea said salmon hued.
Okay.
With an herbaceous nose of thyme, rosemary, and grilled peaches.
Okay.
I think we did say peaches.
Yeah, we did.
Bright, juicy, and energetic in the mouth. Exotic spice notes develop with air, wrapping around a core of tart cherry berry fruit. Did I say cherry? I think I did say cherry.
With sweet cherry, you said. Well, no, that was on the third one, I think. But
did you not write this down?
No, it says sweet cherry on the Hubert.
Okay. And then the Hubert Meyer 8 wine says, this wine is an appealing bright pink with generous bouquet, scents of strawberry, rose petals, plenty of mouthwatering sour fruits, green apple, lemon zest, red berries, flavors of red fleshy fruit, honey, and citrus. Delightful yeasty hint, which calls brioche and sourdough bread to mind. This is a perfect choice if you're looking for a versatile and food-friendly wine. Wine enthusiast said mellow red apple notes with just a hint of strawberry provide the chief aromas on the nose and tongue, supported by faint shortbread flavors on a slender palate. Fresh acidity makes this lively and vivid on the dry finish. So there you go. There we go.
Not bad.
Well, again, 3 winners. It's going to be difficult to choose which one we would serve with Thanksgiving.
It's
maybe all 3.
It's going to be a rosé Thanksgiving day, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I think if you chose any of these, people would, they're crowd pleasers, they're good wines, they're conversation starters. I think they'd be great choices, any of them.
Yes.
Okay, Carmela, it's time for us to go, but before we do, we want to thank you very much for listening to us. And if you haven't had a chance to do so yet, now would be the perfect time to follow or subscribe to our podcast, and also a great time to leave us a nice rating review on our website or Apple Podcasts or other podcast app. It's a great way to support us for free. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us about a wine you want us to taste and review, or in a region of the world you want us to taste wines from. You can leave a message for us on our website, thewinepairpodcast.com. You can join our email newsletter there, and you can always reach out to us at joe@thewinepairpodcast.com or DM us on Instagram. However you want to get a hold of us, we'll return the message. We promise. So with that, we're going to sign off. Thank you once again. We'll see you next time. And as we say, life is short, so stop drinking shitty wine. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And the happy ending at the end of our story. Always think too much, always drink too much, always pray too much, always think too much. And when I'm with you too much, I fall in love too much. And when I'm away too much,